2025 saw a huge leveling up of certain weight classes in powerlifting through new contenders, returning legends, lifters changing weight classes. We saw it all. So which weight class was the most improved of this year? Let's find out. Big thank you for Avances for sponsoring this 12 Days of Liftmas series, where I'll be giving away a $50 Avances gift code in each video, including at the end of this one. So you can buy the best powerlifting shoe in the game and also some cool apparel. If you want to win one from this video, all you have to do is be subscribed and leave a comment by that date and time. Okay, so I'm going to be starting off with the heaviest weight classes and going down in descending order this time. Starting off with the 120s, and at the start of 2025, Rondell Hunt was the number one 120 with 1045, which he'd actually done back in 2023. So in each of these, I'm going to be showing you the ranking coming in and also coming out of 2025, the top 10. So Rondell Hunt was number one. Even though in 2024 he didn't compete, he was still without a doubt number one. Bob Matthews 978.5, which matched the official IPF world record of Dennis Cornelius. He hit that at PA Nats in 2024 before winning worlds with 970 that year. Devin Williams at SBD Rally hit 960. Etienne Elsher finished second behind Bob at worlds with 958.5 last year. Tony Cliff, the legend, 955.5 is the total he hit back in 2023 actually. When he won worlds that year. Konstantin Musayev, also former world champion back in 2021, had 940 as his best total coming into this year. Nonso Chinye, the super promising junior, 938 is what he hit to win junior worlds back in 2024, making him the 7th best 120 coming into this year. Abdul Majid Mo Suleiman, 937.5, which he hit at the Arnold's Expo last year. And Nico Perraud, 935.5, one half of the strongest brother-sister powerlifting duo in the sport. He had French Nationals 2024 in the 930s. And Joseph McDonald, another young emerging contender at the start of this year, 926.5 at NAPFs. Okay, so that was the top 10 active 120s coming into this year. At the end of 2025, Rondell Hunt is still up there at number one. He did compete this year and he totaled 1010 at PA Nats as a guest lifter. Took a huge jump on his final deadlift, didn't quite get it. We all know he wasn't quite in his best shape, hence why he lost kilos on his total. Bob Matthews, though, was definitely in his best shape. Hit 1010.5 to win SBD Austin, registering the second biggest 120 total of all time, becoming the lightest person to cross the 1,000 kilo barrier, and also chipping Rondell's best total by half a kilo. So technically, if we're going just off of 2025 totals and not all-time totals by active 120s, Bob would actually be number one this year. Nonso Chinye climbed up the rankings with 988 kilos that he hit at Avances Houston. Despite not winning worlds, he made up for it with that crazy performance that he did. 988 with that huge 415.5 monster deadlift, the biggest tested deadlift we had ever seen. Etienne Elsher won worlds with a 962.5 total, and he recently, just like a day or two ago, won the Asian Championships totaling 968.5, moving him up to number 4 on this list. That's only 10 kilos below Dennis Cornelius' official IPF world record, which still stands. And Etienne's competing at Sheffield, so he's only 10 kilos away from breaking the world record. He took it pretty easy on his squat and bench at Asians. That deadlift was a grind, 401 world record deadlift that he pulled to beat Nonso's world record. But yeah, Etienne's looking good to potentially break the world record at Sheffield early next year. Number 5, Joshua Ngoka. What a breakthrough year he had. He started the year not in the top 10 because he was actually a 120 plus lifter, cut down to the 120s and got stronger. Absolutely crazy. A 965.5 is what he hit literally just yesterday at the British Championships, where he went head-to-head against Nonso and forced Nonso to load up 900 pounds on his final pull to beat him, which he ended up doing. Nonso pulled 408.5 to total 966 and take the win. But Joshua Ngoka, 965.5, 380 on his final deadlift, had a crazy strong and solid day and finished runner-up at Junior Worlds this year. Behind Joseph McDonald, who ended up winning Junior Worlds with 965. He placed 4th at Open Worlds, where he had a chance to potentially podium, maybe even win, if he weren't for somewhat dodgy deadlift attempt selection at the end there. But nevertheless, he came back and won the Junior World title, 965. So he's also climbed up the ranks. Another super strong lifter from Trinidad. Devin Williams, 960 kilos is the total that still stands from last year. as his best total. He did compete this year at Nationals and at Worlds, but he failed to beat his best ever total. He finished in 3rd place at Worlds, totaling somewhere in the 950s, I believe, behind Nonso and Etienne. Konstantin Musayev, 958.5 is what he hit at the Russian Championships earlier this year. He also competed just a few days ago against Etienne at the Asian Championships, where he totaled 950 or 940, 950 something. So he didn't quite beat his best ever total there. Brendan Todd is just a crazy strong, just general strength athlete dude who does strongman, who does like street lifting, does a whole bunch of stuff. And he did a powerlifting comp and totaled over 2,100 pounds, which is wild, 955. I don't know if he's actually sticking with powerlifting though, but crazy, crazy strong dude. And Mohamed Sahad at a local Algerian meet, I think that was, he totaled 940 kilos this year. He competed at the African Championships not that long ago as well, and he totaled, I believe, 935, only 5 kilos below this at the African Championships. So there you go, 940 plus is what is required to be in the top 10 of active, raw tested 120 kilo powerlifters right now, which is quite a big jump from what we saw last year. And not only that, but we're seeing a lot more people close in on that 978.5 by Dennis Cornelius. Nonso has unofficially gone above it, just not in international competition, as has Bob. Of course, Rondell has for years. But Etienne, like I mentioned, is also now closing in on it. Joshua Ngoka, Joseph McDonald, also super young, super strong lifters who I don't doubt by next year will be in the high 900s. Yeah, we're seeing the 120s dramatically level up. And I wouldn't be surprised if by the end of next year we see several lifters, not just Rondell and Bob, with a total beginning with 1 next to their names. Next up though is the 93s. And at the start of 2025, Gavin Aiden was the number 1 93 in the world, holding the official IPF world record of 901 that he did at NAPFs in August of last year, becoming the first 93 lifter in the IPF to cross into the 900 kilos after they'd been stuck in the high 800s for a while. Gustav Hedlund was second with 895, which is what he did to win Sheffield in 2024. He also matched that total to win 2024 Worlds. Brandon Petrie also was on 895, which he did to win 2024 PA Nats before finishing in bronze behind Gustav and Emil Krastev at Worlds 2024. Speaking of Emil Krastev, he also finished on 895 at Worlds, where he lost on bodyweight behind Gustav, finishing in 2nd place. Jonathan Kaiko, 893, that was enough to win him silver at Sheffield in 2024, 2 kilos behind the winner there, Gustav. Dominic Fuqua, 882.5, very underrated. At that point in time, he was still a USAPL lifter in 2024, but he's thankfully in Powerlifting America now, and we've seen him hit a huge total since, which I'll cover soon. Christian Ayandoku, one of the other best international 93s, 878.5 out of Team GB that he hit towards the end of last year. Carlos Peterson Griffith, wow, talk about someone who's disappeared off the face of the earth. If anyone knows what happened to this guy, please let me know, because he was one of the most exciting guys to watch in the sport. He totaled 875 at 2024 Sheffield in a crazy head-to-head squat battle against Gavin Aiden of all people. Demetrius Smith was only just emerging, and at the end of last year, he hit 872.5 in his Powerlifting America debut. And Jordan McKinley, another lifter who was competing in the USAPL, but has thankfully transitioned across to Powerlifting America in 2025, he hit 870 last year as well. So that was the top 10 93s in the world as of January 1st, 2025. Now, as of December 2025, boys, at a different story. Top of the list, who would have guessed this? Absolutely no one. If you had money on Will Ball finishing the 93 rankings at number 1, I don't know what you would have won, but it would have been quite a handsome jackpot. 920 kilos is what he hit. I've made a separate video talking about how crazy this was, so I'll leave a link to that, and I won't go too much deeper into it here because I could talk about it all day long. But 920 at 19, becoming the strongest 93 who has ever lived. Absolutely insane. Jonathan Kaiko has returned. He took the rest of 2024 off after Sheffield earlier that year, and he returned at Nats with 919.5, which at that point was the biggest 93 total before Will Ball chipped it later in the year. So he won Nationals and then finished later on in bronze at Worlds. Russell Orhe moved up from the 83 kilo class into the 93s and took the world record at his first attempt as a 93 lifter. 918 kilos at the NAPFs is the official IPF world record in the 93s, and Russ will be lifting at Sheffield. He did earn his wildcard spot, and he will be going head to head there against Emil and Gustav, who also got the other wildcard spot. Speaking of Emil and Gustav, you know they're coming up next. Emil Krastev 917.5 is what he hit to win the Battle of the 93s against Gustav at Sheffield this year, finishing in silver medal position behind only Shell. 917.5 was the IPF world record at the time. And Gustav Hedlund hit 915, only 2.5 kilos below Emil Krastev, which got him podium at his second straight Sheffield, finishing in bronze position there behind Emil and Shell. And then Emil Krastev also, I should mention, ended up winning Worlds this year with a 910 total, and Gustav finished in silver medal position behind Emil Krastev at Worlds. So they've sort of swapped positions there. It was Gustav 1, Emil 2 at Worlds last year. This year was Emil 1 and Gustav 2. Brandon Petrie also added kilos to his total and crossed into the 900 kilos. 902.5 is what he hit at PA Nats in that crazy American battle where he just fell short of that final deadlift that he would have needed to beat Jonathan Kaiko, pulling for the win. He got it to above the knees but couldn't quite lock it out. Nevertheless, he hit 902.5 despite losing to Jonathan Kaiko. Gavin Aiden hit 901 kilos, as I mentioned previously back in 2024. He failed to better that in 2025, and he's dropped from first all the way down to 7th on the active 93 kilo rankings. He competed at PA Nats again in that crazy battle that we saw, finishing actually 4th place off podium behind Kaiko, Brandon Petrie, and Dom Fuqua, who we'll talk about in a second. 901, and yeah, he totaled 890 something, I believe, at PA Nats. Took a huge jump in his final pull to try and total well above 900. Couldn't quite get it, just missed it on grip at the top. But yeah, Gavin is still looking super strong, and I can't wait to see him back again. He was supposed to compete at SBD Austin, but decided not to save himself for PA Nats next year. So hopefully he's back to full strength and part of what will be an absolutely crazy domestic 93 battle in the US next year. Dom Fuqua totaled 900 kilos to hit a surprise podium at PA Nats, pulling the upset over Gavin Aiden, falling behind just Petrie and Kaiko by a couple kilos there. 900 kilos, Dom Fuqua. Absolutely crazy, underrated performance. No one talks about this, but he also was supposed to compete at SBD Austin, and apparently I heard rumors that his training was absolutely popping off and he was hitting numbers damn near close to 920 in training, gunning for that #1 spot. So it's a shame we didn't see him at SBD Austin, but man, I can't see what he does at Nats next year. Demetrius Smith, another entrant into the 900 kilo club as a 93. He did so at Advances Houston. He then loaded up an extra 20.5 kilos, going for 400.5 to attempt 920.5, walking away as the strongest 93 of all time. And he got it to, as far as you can see in that photo there, so just below the knees. Too much on the day, but still, that is how close he is from being the strongest 93 who's ever lived. Another really strong rising contender in the class, and another super strong American 93. Speaking of American 93s though, there's another one, and that is Jamar Royster. Also Advances Houston, became the first 93 to squat 800 pounds, 890.5. Finally had a performance that we knew he was capable of for a long time after disappointingly injuring his back on squats at PA Nats and not being able to register anywhere near the total we know he's capable of. 890.5 puts him in the high 800s and also knocking right on that door of 900 kilo total as 93, and also from America. So yeah, that battle is going to be absolutely insane. But you can see there, compared to what he was at the start of the year, a 900 kilo total was literally just Gavin Aiden, and that's it. Coming into this year, exiting this year, a 900 kilo total barely puts you in the top 10 of active 93s. In fact, it puts you at 9th. So yeah, talk about a crazy leveling up of a weight class, where such a milestone number like 900 kilos falls from being the best to just scraping the top 10. Yeah, that's when you know your weight class has absolutely leveled up. It's kind of like the 4-minute mile effect. One person does it, all of a sudden everyone's doing it. That's what we've seen this year with the 93s and the 900 kilo barrier. Alright, another weight class though is the 83 kilo class. And coming into 2025, Joey B was already the #1, where he won SBD Rally with 865 kilos. Adeo Misakan was the official IPF world record holder with his 861 that he did at Western Euros. Ross was 860 kilos as his biggest 83 total, which he did at PA Nats last year. And then obviously he went to Worlds and got upset by Durans, only totaling in the 840s at that meet. Sean Noriega, quietly at the end of last year, put himself back up at #4, which was quite the comeback for him. But yeah, that was right at the end of last year, 850 kilos at a PNATS meet. Durin's Kingamu totaled 850 kilos in 2024. The reason he's in italics is because that 850 was done at a silent worker meet where he technically weighed in above 83, but I'm still giving it to him. His best total officially as an 83 was 845, which was his legendary world's winning upset over Russ, which was the IPF world record at the time, 845 kilos, but 850 was his biggest total in 2024. Tim Monagatti at New Zealand Nationals towards the end of the year hit 845.5. So Tim Monagatti moving up from the 74s to the 83s. And boy, did it work out. He podiumed at 2024 Worlds, finishing in bronze behind Shell and Perk in the 74s. After taking a silver medal the previous year, beating Taylor Atwood, falling behind Kalle Johansson. But he decided to move to the 83s, and he seemed like a good decision. 845.5 is what he hit. And he only weighed in at like 80 point something kilos, which is absolutely mental. So huge performance there from Tim. Delaney Wallace, 842.5, coming in at number 7. 842.5, he actually did that at Sheffield 2024, and that was enough to podium at Sheffield. Now, we all know where the 83s are right now. I'll show you in a second. But the fact that an 842.5 as an 83 was enough to take a podium at Sheffield of all places back in 2024 is mental, considering 842.5 at 83 now is not even going to put you anywhere near Sheffield, let alone podium. That's how much it's leveled up. Chris Perez also hit 840 though. That was at SBD Rally last year. Angelo Fortino also at SBD Rally hit 835. That was quite the battle between Chris, Angelo, and Joe B. Not to mention Delaney Wallace, who was also there at SBD Rally. And Taylor Atwood made his comeback meet in October of 2024 at the Scary Strong Powerlifting America meet, and he totaled 830 kilos in his 83 kilo debut to round out the top 10 coming into 2025. So the end of 2025, Joe Borenstein cracks the 900 kilos. I remember he did this in a training session in January, and he put on the platform just a few months later at PNATS 900 kilos to make it official. Absolutely insane. And then he added 4 kilos to it at Advances Houston, where he finished second behind Perk. 904 kilos is now the king of the 83s in Joe B. He, of course, won Nationals with 900 kilos, beating a crazy strong host of 83s, and also won Worlds with the IPF world record of 890 kilos. Number 2, Taylor Atwood. We knew he was strong coming into PNATS, and he completes the comeback, 876 kilos, the second biggest 83 total of all time, only behind Joe B. If it weren't for Joe B, Taylor Atwood would have won, and what a story that would have been. But 876 puts Taylor at number 2. Jaden Lowe, again, talk about a breakthrough star who came out of nowhere. 873 just recently done at SBD Austin, taking Joey B of all people's American deadlift record of 378 kilos, which initially was not given to him, overturned into a good lift. 873 is absolutely monstrous. He's only been lifting for like 2 years. He's only like 20, 21 years old, super young, super strong, reminiscent of Joey B and his meteoric rise. So that battle is going to be pretty damn crazy, not to mention Taylor Atwood, the veteran and legend sandwich between the two super young, super strong 83 lifters there. Durin's Kingamu has continued to level up. 872.5 now stands as his best ever total. And that was done at World Games, where he won the gold medal, winning World Games in the middleweight category. 872.5. And Durin's took a silver medal behind Joe B at Worlds as well. Adayo Misakin added 4 kilos to his total, although he weighed in heavy at Advances Houston. So he was competing their Advances, and he weighed in above 83s, but he totaled 865. So again, similar to Durin's in the previous year, I'm going to give it to him because I'm still counting that as an 83, even though he kind of sort of weighed in over. So yeah, Ada's at 865. He didn't necessarily have the best year, you know, just somewhat disappointing performances at Sheffield and at Worlds, where he missed his winning deadlifts on both competitions, and he ended up in bronze medal position at Worlds behind Durin's and Joe B. Angelo Fortino also quietly is now in the 860s. At Advances Houston again, he totaled 860 kilos, which just last year, 860 was the very top. Hell, Russ, the king of the 83s, hit 860 last year. And now Angelo Fortino is also 860. I should mention, by the way, the reason why Russ and Delaney Wallace aren't on this ranking is because they're now 93 lifters. So this is the current men's 83s I'm looking at. So yeah, that's why Russ and Delaney aren't here. Although it is worth mentioning that Russ did hit 870.5 this year at Sheffield, which was the IPF world record at the time. And then Delaney Wallace also hit 867.5 at PA Nats. So they both added quite a few kilos in this weight class too before deciding to move up to the 93s. Which, yeah, Delaney Wallace, yet another American 93 who's very close to 900 kilos. Sean Noriega, 857.5. He added 7.5 kilos to his total from the end of last year at PA Nats, finishing off podium behind Delaney, Taylor, and Joe B with an absolutely stacked American 83 kilo class. Like I said, just a year prior to PA Nats this year at Sheffield, 842.5, won Sheffield, set a world record, and got Delaney Wallace bronze at Sheffield. Or won the 83's world record and yeah, podium to Sheffield. And then just a year later at PA Nats, just over a year later, 15 kilos above that, doesn't even podium at PA Nats. That's how much the 83's leveled up in that year. Tim Monogatti unfortunately didn't add any kilos to his best total of 845.5. In fact, he's been injured the majority of the year. He did recently compete at the Oceanic Championships where he totaled 800 kilos again, so it's good to see him back into the 800s. Hopefully he continues to heal up and comes back strong in the mid 800s as an international contender in the 83s. Chris Perez, another 83 who failed to better his total this year, totaling 840 kilos in SPD Rally last year. He had a somewhat disappointing PA Nats where he came in injured and totaled quite a bit below that. And number 10, Dylan Johnson. This literally just happened like a day ago. Dylan Johnson totaled 835 kilos, squatting 332.5, becoming the strongest and best sub-junior powerlifter of all time if you go by GL points. Absolutely mental performance. Like I literally just saw this not that long ago, so this is like literally, breaking news almost. But he did weigh in heavy for this, so he weighed in at 85 kilos. That's why he's in italics again. But I mean, come on, 85 kilos. He's the a sub-junior 83 world champ. I'm counting this as essentially an 83 performance, and that puts him at effectively number 10 on the open men's 83 current rankings. He's the 10th best lifter there if he just puts that as an 83 performance. 835 is mental. That would be 10 times better if he weighs an 83, and more importantly, that squat of 332.5 is ridiculous. I thought that Russ's 338 squat world record at Sheffield would stand for a long time. But here's this 18-year-old who's only now 5.5 kilos below it. And honestly, I wouldn't doubt it. At this point, I would be more surprised if he didn't go over that next year, which is crazy to say from an 18-year-old. So yeah, Dylan Johnson, I anticipate is going to climb this list come next year in 2026 by a huge leveling up of the 83s, very similar trajectory to the 93s. I mean, so many lifters 860 plus now. I remember it blew everyone's minds when Russ hit 860, and now that's number 6 on this ranking. Absolutely crazy. And the final weight class I'm looking at is the 59s, and the 59s for the longest time were a very stale weight class, but no longer, because they have absolutely become lifters from the 59s have leveled up, and it's one of the best weight classes now to watch. But yeah, Sergey Fedosyenko, 670.5 is his biggest world record, or yeah, his unofficially world record. His IPF world record's a kilo less than that. Last year, I believe he was in the 620s at Asian Championships. Obviously, he had taken a few years off. I'm still putting his 670.5, even though he's probably quite a bit less than that. We did see him compete recently at Asian Championships as well, which I'll cover soon when I look at the end of 2025 rankings. Waska Carpia was the 2-time world champ though, 2023, 2024. 638 kilos is what he hit at PA Nats in 2024, and like I said, he won worlds with 637.5 and also totaled the same thing at Sheffield in this year. Antoine Garcia, the 2022 world champion, 610 kilos. Ivan Campagno Diaz, the junior world champion, 602.5, silver medal from 2023 and bronze from 2024, I believe. So it was just barely in the 600s, which is crazy given how far he's come, which I'll show you in a second. Kweku Nyarko, at that point in time in the USAPL, 595, so also knocking it off 600s. Kyosuke Yoshioka, 593.5. I believe he was one of the best lifters out of Asia. Not quite Asian champ, because I think Fedosyenko got that 2024, but yeah, also high 500s. Chong Eugene from Malaysia, 590 kilos. Brian Seong also weighed in heavy for this meet, but I'm going to count it 590 out of France. Bodhi Lako, the monster deadlifter, more on him in a second, but 585 is what he was at PNS 2024. And Pradeep Smudu from Sri Lanka, 585, rounding out the top 10. So yeah, we didn't have a whole lot of lifters in the 600s there. We just had Waska, Antoine, and Ivan, and Fedo was like 620-ish, and Asians obviously not able to compete at Worlds. However, at the end of 2025, Sergey Fedosienko is still number one. I'm still counting 670.5 because it wasn't that long ago where he totaled somewhat close to this, just a few years ago. We did see him, very recently within the last week compete at Asian Championships where he won, but his total was, I believe, 617.5, which if we're going with that, puts him pretty far down this list, and he's not in the top 3 or 4 59s now if you're giving him that 617.5. So it'll be interesting to see if he actually competes or is able to compete at Worlds again, and they're allowing Russian lifters back at Worlds, because then we'll see Fedosienko likely take his first ever defeat in his career. Because Ivan Campagno Diaz, what a breakout year he's had. 642.5 is what he totaled at World Games. Italics because he weighed in above 59. He was, I think, 60 kilos. He just was above 59 barely. He was also the world champion, 637.5, winning Worlds this year and qualifying for Sheffield next year, adding a good 40 kilos to his best total from last year to this year, which is a huge progression for an already elite level lifter. Absolutely crazy from Ivan there. Also, he narrowly missed that final deadlift, which would have given him an extra 10 or 15 kilos, I think. So, yeah, he's close to 650s. Wahyu Surya, another lifter who's emerged, 641.5, only a kilo below what Ivan did at World Games. And officially, this makes him the biggest 59 total of the year because Ivan, like I said, weighed in above 59 for his World Games performance and totaled 5 kilos less at Worlds. But yeah, Wahyu Surya, 641.5. I can't wait to see him at Worlds next year. Against the best 59s because, yeah, absolute monster squat and monster deadlifter this guy is. Waska, unfortunately, was injured this year. After Sheffield, he sustained, I believe it was a back injury, and was not able to compete at Worlds. So 638 kilos was unfortunately a total he was not able to best. Like I said, he is 637.5 at Sheffield, including a world record at the time deadlift, which has now been shot through the moon by Bodhi Lako, which I'll cover in a second. But yeah, Waska Carpio hopefully comes back strong next year, and against a leveled up Ivan, super strong Wahyu Surya, potentially Fedosienko, it's going to be a pretty close battle. Antoine Garcia just quietly has also added 15 kilos to his total and is now in the 620s, 625, which he also did at World Games. And Bodhi Lako, the junior world champion in the 59s, 293 kilos he did to win Worlds, 623, absolutely insane. And in the 620s, with that monster deadlift of damn near 300 kilos, will be a threat against any 59 in the world. Valentin Dupoinol, 622.5, just half a kilo below Bodhi Lako. He got the silver medal behind Bodhi at Junior Worlds this year. If it weren't for Bodhi's massive deadlift, he would have been the Junior World Champion. So yeah, another super strong French 59 lifter. Kweku Nyarko, 622.5. He also did that at SBD Austin recently. Again, he weighed in above 59 for this. He was in the 60s in terms of body weight, but still 622.5. He did very smoothly, very comfortably. So ironically, even though he's added like almost 30 kilos to his total, he's actually dropped down on this list ranking wise, which just shows you how much the totals have improved in the 59s. Kasim San Senyumong, the 66 world champ from 2024, moved down to the 59s. Unfortunately, didn't have the best worlds. His total was way down because he was injured going in. And at World Games, he had a better performance. Well, technically he wasn't a 59 because he weighed in at 60 kilos, just like Ivan at World Games. Hence why he's in italics there. But he totaled 617.5, which still you would think is not quite the most he can do, given that that's almost 100 kilos below his best 66 total, and he was quite a small 66. But still not, I assume he was in his best shape then. So interesting to see if he even stays in this weight class next year, and if he does, if he's able to get healthy. And if he is, I think he's going to be right up there in the mid sixes, potentially challenging with the likes of Ivan, Wahyu, and Waska. And like I said, Fedosienko at Asian Championships this year also hit 617.5 or somewhere around there. So yeah, that's how far down the list Fedosienko would be if you just go by his current total. And Pradeep Smudu is also number 10, just like he was at the start of the year, even though he's added quite a few kilos to his total, up 20 kilos, 605. He's also in the 600s. So the 59s, all of the top 10 are now in the 600s, and there are several who are 620 plus. In fact, the top 8 are all 620 plus, which is huge given, like I said, it used to be a pretty stale battle at the top with just a few lifters in the 600s. Now we're going to be seeing a pretty, what is shaping up to be a pretty crazy battle for podium at Worlds next year in the 59 kilo class. The best the 59s have ever looked, without a doubt. Okay, so those were the 4 weight classes, in my opinion, that have leveled up the most in 2025. But there's only one that I can pick as the winner, and the winner for me is the 93s. As much as the other weight classes have gone up, the 93s have blown my mind this year. Like I said, 900 kilos going from literally being the best in the world to barely making the top 10 is a progression that's absolutely mental. I think we all sort of knew that the 93s were good for 900 kilos for a couple years now, you know, and because the battles were always so tight at the top, that's likely why we weren't seeing these crazy huge totals fall, because it was always a head-to-head battle. So they always prioritized winning rather than just, you know, throwing as many kilos on the bar as they could. But still, I was not expecting as many lifters to cross into 900s this year as there have been. I mean, you can see the comparison there. Huge performances, and aside from those lifters on the right making up the top 10, there are some other super strong guys. Like I mentioned, Delaney Wallace also was very, very close, a few inches away from 900 kilo total himself at SPD Austin in his 93 debut. Yeah, there are some other super strong junior 93 up-and-comers. Christian Indokun technically totaled 892.5 at World Games, except he weighed in as of, you know, 100 kilos, so that's why I didn't put him on the list. But he's also technically leveled up sort of in the 890s there. And yeah, who knows what's happening with Carlos Pearson Griffith. But yeah, Jordan McKinley, junior world champion, 878 is what he hit this year at Junior PNATs. So he's also getting up there. Jack Reynolds is a super strong sub-junior. Chase Gravitt. There's so many amazing 93s out there. And yeah, they're damn near all in the 900s. So that is, without a doubt, my most improved weight class of 2025. Okay, it is giveaway time. Time to see who's going to win the next $50 Avances gift code. In day 3 of Liftmas, it is Noah Aman H8X, who thought Shell should have been the men's powerlifter of the year. Fair enough, Shell had a fantastic year. I ended up giving it to Perk, but I could definitely see the case for Shell. But well done, Noah. Send me an email to presserpowerlifting@gmail.com. Leave me a comment when you've done so, and I will send you your gift code. Everyone else, whoever comments on this video, one of you guys will win at the end of my next video's announcement.